M. Night Shyamalan's latest film has now been released for the rest of the world via digital services, and I couldn't jump faster at the chance to check it out. This was probably the first movie of the year on my most anticipated of the year list, and I'll explain why in a second, but we're discussing Knock at the Cabin. Let's get cracking. Knock at the Cabin is all about a group of mysterious strangers that approach a couple of fathers and their daughter at their getaway cabin and hold them hostage while they explain one of them has to decide to kill the other in order to prevent the apocalypse. Either these strangers are absolutely insane or they have a very difficult choice to make. There are those of you that don't really understand the hype that surrounds M. Night Shyamalan. I'm looking at you, Mike, from Did Ya See That? But honestly, you're not alone. There is a lot of you out there that feel the same. So let me try to explain why I do understand the hype. There's a grand total of 5 directors that I can think of that I can watch a movie from and know just by watching the movie that it's them doing it. Steven Spielberg, at least the films earlier in his career where you felt the magic and the wonder seeping through everything that he ever did. You got Tim Burton, you always know it's a Tim Burton movie, obviously. Wes Anderson also has a very specific way of making his movies. Quentin Tarantino, that's a given. And M. Night Shyamalan. A couple of others get pretty close, like J.J. Abrams, Edgar Wright, and things like that. But at the same time, they also have movies that I can't always tell it's them doing it. M. Night Shyamalan, you can. Not just because he makes twist endings that he's known for. No, not at all. It's actually the way he makes the movie. The vision that he has with his films. It's always there. Everybody expects it's the twist ending thing. But honest to God, it's because of the subtle style in which he shoots and especially the way that he writes his dialogue. His TV show, Servant, on Apple TV, same thing. I can always tell when he is the director of the episode versus when anybody else does it. There's just a way that he does his thing that is unmatchable, and I feel alone in the fact that I can actually tell when he does it. It's the reason why all of his other movies that are technically bad, like The Happening, I still love watching because Shyamalan is at the director's seat and his style is 100% in those movies. One of the main reasons I love and I can connect with Shyamalan is because as a kid, he used to make home movies, and that is where he drew a lot of inspiration for his earlier success stories in film. But when those stories kind of fizzled out, Hollywood kind of pushed him to keep writing and keep doing what he was doing and come up with new stories, and that's about the time when his career took a little bit of a dip. Pressure from Hollywood producers, but even so, I think that he's had some winners and some losers in that time, and Knock at the Cabin is a prime example of when M. Night is doing something right, even though it's a flawed movie. This is a pretty darn contained psychological thriller that mostly takes place in one spot. It has a ton of psychological dialogue, and it makes you think from beginning to end. Is the world truly in danger? Is the world gonna end? Or are these people just prepared psychopaths targeting a gay couple because they've been targeted their entire lives? Truly, what is going on? I think that question drives the entire movie. And while the book that it's based off of, The Cabin at the End of the World, apparently has more of an ambiguous ending, the film doesn't. And this is the part of the film that I think is flawed. This is definitely the type of storyline that works for The Twilight Zone, which is also known to end with more somber or ambiguous endings that make the viewers think. That's why The Twilight Zone was so successful and so good. And it's something that the book also follows suit with. But the movie took a safer route and spoon-fed the audience the answers to everything. Even The Happening was more ambiguous of an ending. And this was the type of movie that absolutely needed that ambiguous ending in order to leave a bigger or much more memorable impression at the end of the day. But even that being said, I can still tell that this was M. Night Shyamalan through and through, and this is still enough for me to have a lot of fun with it. There's good cinematography, even though it is smaller and very contained. The performances by everybody is pretty darn good. A lot of people will like to point out that Dave Bautista did a fantastic job bringing humanity to the film, and I would agree, but that was the point. And I wouldn't give him an Oscar for the performance, but it was still pretty good. Overall, like I said, I enjoyed it. Partially because I'm a fan of M. Night Shyamalan's work, and partially because I do really think that it was well done. The ending could have used a couple of rewrites to get it just right, but otherwise I wouldn't mind rewatching it or owning it in general. It's one of his better films later in his career. Let's take a look though at what I scored Knock at the Cabin, which was A B+ letter grade, final overall score of 83%, 83 out of 100 possible stars, which is a score that's mostly agreed upon from my unbiased and biased scores down below because it's not a bad movie by any means. Based on Shyamalan's earlier works, a lot of people always seem to expect a twist ending, and if the movie doesn't have one, it's automatically deemed to be a bad movie, and he did something wrong. That's not true though. Go into it like it was made by anybody else, and you'll see that it's a pretty good movie in general. I don't regret for a second watching this movie. What about you guys though? What were your thoughts on Knock at the Cabin? What's your favorite M. Night Shyamalan film in general? Please let me know in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out.